Hello, 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 and welcome back to my podcast, What's Cooking? This week we have DJ and producer Josh Hvaal.
Hiya, you right? What an intro, man. What an intro.
Good. I mean, I could have gone into more detail, but I feel like it's just easier to stick to DJ and producer.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I like that, yeah. How about you? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited that we're doing this, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. Thank you for having me on.
No, thanks for coming. I'm glad Dan recommended you because I feel like I was in the midst of saying like, oh, I've just moved to Manchester and like, I don't really know who to get on. I want to try and make it more Manchester based. Who would you recommend? And he suggested you.
Yeah, shout out Dan White.
Big up Dan White. Have you been on a podcast before?
Yes, I've been on the Tracks That Lads one.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, which was class, but it wasn't an in-person one, so yeah.
Yeah, it's online, a bit of a different vibe.
Yeah, defo, man, defo.
Which is nice. Okay, so we'll just get straight into it, I guess. Something that is always like a big part of your life is production. Yeah. When did you start producing?
I think I started producing about, I want to say maybe, I bet it's pushing 10 years ago, man. Like, yeah,
Really?
Yeah, quite a while away. I've been DJing since I was 9, but I've been producing, yeah, must be, I think 10 years, which is crazy actually to think about.
What the hell? DJing since you were 9?
Yeah, man, I started like super young, like started off on like belt drive vinyl. So if any sort of vinyl heads out there, you know, if they'll understand the pain of doing that. If you can mix on belt drive vinyl, you can mix on anything. So, but yeah, sort of I grew up in like a bit of a very sort of house and dance music loving family.
Yeah.
So it was always on in the background, and yeah, it felt like the sort of natural progression. I ended up going to, I think it was like a neighbour's party, and he had like EJ Mix Station, which was like a computer program that allowed you to mix. And then I just became obsessed with it, ended up getting the program, and then before you know it, that was it. Just became obsessed, totally obsessed with it. So yeah, mad.
The age of 9 is actually mental.
Yeah, man.
So how did you get more into like DJing at events then?
That kind of came later on, because I think a lot of people, they kind of fall in love with dance music because they go to like a rave, they go to a warehouse project or like a Creamfields or something like that, and they find this new genre of music. But I think for me it was just because it was so around me all the time.
Yeah.
Sort of from the DJ and then into producing, just sort of it felt like the natural sort of transition, you know. So
yeah. And that just with you producing then, so you started like probably when you were what, like early 20s?
Yeah. Yeah, I was about 18, I think, when I started producing. But to be fair, I'd been DJing since I was 9, but I kind of dropped it in my mid-teens.
Oh.
And then came back to it when I was like 16 or something like that. And then, thought sort of the natural progression to start trying to write your own tunes. And I kind of never looked back from there, really. So, yeah.
Yeah, and did you teach yourself then? Was there a lot of tools back then?
Bloody hell, it's not that long ago. Right? You know what? Like, I'm like solely self-taught, so it was all YouTube, but it still is YouTube now. Like, but it's the first I'd say maybe the first sort of 5 or 6 years was making like a lot of nothing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just trying to get used to like using Logic and you know how everything works. And I remember at the time I was using, I don't know whether it's still a thing now. It's like in the pre-Syntho era, it was Virtuoso, where you had people like Eats Everything and Shadow Child and guys like that were doing these sort of online courses.
Yeah.
Which was great, really. So you could kind of learn the basics and things like that. But just predominantly self-taught, just through YouTube and through that, really. So yeah.
Yeah, and then when did you start releasing music then?
My first release was in 2020, March 2020, which was, I think it was. Yeah, it was the sound EP that came out on Hot Creations, which was like my debut sort of release. Yeah. Which was quite cool. But that music got signed in like, I want to say maybe September 2019, or maybe it was a little bit earlier than that. I can't really remember. But that was kind of like my debut release it's like 6 years ago now. So yeah, been producing a bit by then, but yeah.
That was your first big one?
That was it, man. The first one, the debut. Yeah.
Do you know what? Like, so many people aspire to be on like Jamie Jones's label. What was that process like for you?
It was really odd. Like, I'd always been a huge fan of Jamie Jones, and the entire Hot Creations sort of universe and the DJs that surrounded that paradise.
Yeah.
So it was mad, really, because he was the first guy to really kind of get behind my music, if that made sense.
Yeah.
it was crazy really. But I can remember just getting the email because I'd signed another 2-tracker to Hot Tracks actually before the Hot Creations one came out.
Yeah.
And I can remember just being at the time just like, I can't believe this is happening. This is this is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the first real lot of demos that I sent him that fortunately he seemed to like them, and yeah, the rest is history really.
Yeah, because I'd seen on your Instagram as well that picture of you and Jamie Jones, and I was like, oh my God, we're going to have to speak about that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I owe a lot to Jamie. He kind of gave me a real sort of kickstart into the industry, and he's done it with so many big names and things like that. The sort of entry point for a lot of people into the industry, he gets behind a lot of artists, and regardless of how many releases you've had, or like where you're at in the pecking order, if he likes the tunes, and yeah, full credit to Jamie and Lee Foss on that one as well, because they're both great. They've been great for me. So
yeah, that's amazing. So did you just send that to him on email? Like, how did you really?
Yeah, literally. Like I ended up getting the email from one of my friends who'd been sending him some music, and yeah, I pinged him some music, and it was at a time when when on SoundCloud you actually couldn't see for some reason, it was like bugging out. You couldn't see he was downloading the tunes, but I could see somebody had downloaded it, but I wasn't too sure. I'd gone to Ibiza, and we come back on the Tuesday because Paradise was still at DC10 at the time, and we were like oohing and ahhing like on the Tuesday. We're like, should we like sack work off tomorrow and just stay out here for Paradise? And being a corporate boy at the time, I was like, oh no, I can't do it. I can't do it. And then that was it. I was driving to work on I think it must have been the Thursday morning or something like that. And one of my mates, George, he sent me somebody's story. He was backstage in DC10, and he was like, isn't this your tune? And I looked at it and I was like, nah, it's not, no. And I carried on at work as normal, and he kept going, and he was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's your tune. And I double listened, and I was like, shit, like that is, and which was the maddest thing. I was just sat at my desk looking at this video, and I was like, yo, like this is weird but amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. It was really cool.
I feel like I see so many people's stories, especially now, of like bigger DJs playing those tunes. I've never had a moment like that as of yet.
Got it all to come, man. All to come.
But like, what is it like? Because you've obviously had Jamie Jones play, but surely Patrick Toppins played with you being on Trick as well.
Yeah. Like I've been sending music to Patrick for like 7 years.
Whoa.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
But he's always been an incredible supporter of my music, and really, really lovely guy. Really lovely guy. Yeah. And yeah, over the years he supported a lot of my music, and yeah, just so buzzing that just had a release on Trick. So yeah, it's been one of the bucket list ones, which is always it's always nice to tick off. But yeah, he's been great with me. Really, really nice.
Yeah. Have you noticed that there's like a difference between like how the labels work compared to your experience with like Hot Creations, Hot Tracks, and Trick, or are they pretty similar?
Good question, man. Good question. I think I don't know really. I think the Hot Creations is renowned for that kind of like early tech house sound. Yeah. And obviously it's constantly evolving, and the music they pump out is unreal, like whether it's Hot Tracks or Hot Creations. And I think with Trick as well, Patrick, I don't, not to speak for him, but he seems to be very eclectic in the sort of type of music. So there's lots of different styles that, if you look at some of the hit records that they've had, whether it's been like a Ewan track, or a Hannah Lane track, or even some of Patrick's own, there's so many different styles that are on that one label, which I think is great. I think some of my favorite labels of all time, like XL, they do that, and have that diversity of sound, and really push the boundaries. So yeah, they're both great. Both Hot Creations and Trick are great labels. So yeah.
Yeah. For people that might not know what your sound is like how would you describe your sound? Would you say?
You know what? It's a really, really interesting question.
Yeah.
I've always kind of struggled because I've always been quite eclectic and wrote a lot of different styles.
Yeah.
So like my influences kind of come from a lot of like the Chicago ghetto house sound. So Paul Johnson, DJ DR, and DJ Soul. And that sort of sound, but I'm also like a real big fan of the kind of more modular UK sound of, Shadow Child, Dusky, Bicep, DJ House, Bremen Hamo and guys like that, which are unreal, and then also the tech house stuff. So it's like my kind of like sound is a bit of a melting pot of like three or four different genres. So yeah, it's hard to kind of pinpoint one thing. I just like to think like it's quite good tech house. Like that's how I would kind of look at it. It was a long answer to a sort of short question, but yeah, something like that.
No, I think that's a good description. I had a similar conversation with someone recently, and I do feel like a lot of genres, not like blending into one, but compared to like years ago where you might have just heard like one sound on a lineup, I feel as though it's like much more diverse. So hearing you describe your sound as like such a variety of different inspirations, that's really nice.
I think one of the problems is that there is too many subgenres.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like everything has got to be like it's Berlin techno, or you know it's German attic basement techno, or whatever, man, you know, or there's, you know, minimal deep tech, or there's Romanian minimal, there's this, there's that, or whatever. Fundamentally, it's like house, you know, everything falls under the house, you know, it's either house or it's techno, but I don't know, I might get some hate for that, but
no, I don't think you will. I think Rossi said something similar actually, where he was saying like people have all these different subgenres, but at the end of the day, it is just house music or tech house music. It's just all these like mad subgenres, which it's kind of fun. Like I know Melody, he has so many different ways of like describing like house and tech house, and some of the things that he describes house music as is like hilarious. But yeah, no, I like the way that you described it there.
And to be fair, if you go through Beatport or something like that, and you just see the massive genres, and you get crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. But yeah,
there's some things that I would find like in minimal, which I would associate more with like Latin tech house, and like there's things that I find in tech house that I might think is more like housey, maybe because of the vocals. So I think everyone's interpretation is just so different.
I think there's such a crossover, you know what I mean, of like, you know, there's a lot of people that are, you know, influenced by a lot of different sounds that are happening. So there's a bleed from like, you know, like what's happening at the minute in the kind of seen as more the minimal deep tech world. You know, it's kind of bled through from what was going on with the Fuse sound, and then also kind of like the big bass sounds that's coming from, you know, the Dutch producers and things like that. So there's a natural sort of bleed of inspiration that's happening from that specific genre that ends up creating this new sort of subgenre that is under the house spectrum or something like that. But yeah, you could sit here and talk for ages about, you know, like genres and stuff like that.
And I'm no expert. I'm just here to get the opinions. When you're producing then, like, where would you say you lean more into in terms of like when you first start to create, where do you take your inspiration from? Sorry, I said that in a really weird, long-winded way, but go on.
I think inspiration-wise, good question. I think like I was saying about like we become the melting pots of our sort of our taste, you know, of whatever it is that we really like, you know. So like for me, it's like ghetto house and that more modular house and tech house. Sometimes, to be honest, I never really go into the studio with like a preconceived idea of what it is that I'm going to write. Which is why kind of in sort of previous years I've sort of genre hopped a little bit. I think you can still hear me in all of it, but you can kind of hear elements of techno or, you know, ghetto house or breaks or something like that. Which makes the production process fun, really, because you're never going in there and just going like, oh, I need to write a record like this today, otherwise it's not been a success. You know, you just go and let yourself be creatively free. So yeah.
No, that's good. When I go in, I definitely like take a track for inspiration. But I think probably because you're much more experienced than I am, you can just go in and like feel a little bit more creatively free, which is nice.
I don't know. I think sometimes going in with an idea, I know I say that I don't go in with a sort of preconceived idea of what I'm going to write, but sometimes being able to kind of like almost set yourself up for like the most productive session that you can have, whether that's, you know, you've come in with a couple of ideas, you go, oh, I really like this record, or I like this bit from that, so in the next session I'm going to sit down, I'm going to try and recreate something like that, or something in that vibe. I don't think that's a bad thing at all, you know. I think it's probably a more productive use of your time than the way that I work, but you know, sort of stacking yourself and getting yourself prepared, ready for sessions with like vocals and samples and presets, or, you know, other tracks or arrangements whatever, you know, it's not a bad thing.
So do you not have a template then when you go in, or?
I have a kind of a basic sort of drum template that's kind of routed through some of like my outboard gear that just enables me just to be able to get a bit of a jam going quite fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just to make your life as easy as possible, because I think like I don't know whether it's a very good analogy, but I think as creative people, have you ever seen like the Venn diagram where you've got the three circles that are intersecting? You know, you've got everything else that's going on. You have to kind of be in that middle. That's where all of the circles are intersecting together creatively to like, well, that's how I feel with my career. I don't know how other people, but you've got to kind of live in that like middle section, you know, and sometimes, you know, you can stack the odds in your favor by having things already set up, so it's going to just make getting the idea down a little bit easier. So yeah, sometimes I'll use sort of templates just of drums predominantly that are just ready to go, you know, so when that sort of creativity strikes, then you can just sort of get something down. But
yeah, when you've been in the studio, maybe you haven't had like a productive session, like how do you find that? Because I definitely like crash and burn. Like I will come sit on this sofa and I will be like, that was shit, like I can't get out of this, and like but then the next day I might go in and I found maybe like an acapella that I really love and I have a really good session then and that's kind of how I get out of my funk. But anyway, back to you. How do you get out of like your funk when you experience it?
Like creative blocks? I think the thing is, right, I think everybody, no matter who you are, you know, you could be the most prolific producer like a Scream or someone like that. People go through creative blocks. Like it's inevitable, you know, you're going to feel burnt out from producing too much and whatever. But sometimes it's just like, it's just about not trying to be too hard on yourself. You know what? I say this, right? But I'm the same. Like it's really hard. Like if I can't produce for a day and I'm like, oh shit, that's it. I've lost it. Like, you know, like I'm no good anymore. I'm never going to write anything good again. And then that's it. You get a bit of a loop going and you're like, I'm back. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think it's one of those, just not putting too much pressure on yourself. Like, especially for me now doing it full time, it's quite easy for like, you can spend 10 hours in the studio, but it could be a really unproductive 10-hour session. Or, you know, you can sometimes go, it's not happening today. Let's work on something else. Let's make sure that my session tomorrow is going to be as, you know, as productive as it possibly can. But yeah, it's one of those, just stacking the odds in your favor, but also giving yourself a bit of a break, man. Like it's I think as producers, you know, you live so much like in your head about so many things. So yeah, just got to give yourself a bit of a break. It's some of that. I'm giving this advice, but bro, like I probably need to take some of my own advice. But
yeah, that's fine though. You've obviously, like you said, you've been doing this full time for quite a while now. Was there like anything that you felt escalated you to be at that full-time moment? I went part-time last year. I just picked a feather out this pillow, don't know why I did that. I went part-time last year. I've now gone back to full-time because I got a promotion within my role, and also I needed to move to Manchester. But anyway, that's a completely other story and we'll deal with that on another podcast. But when I went part-time, it got me a lot quicker at making music, even if it wasn't to a level that I was really happy with. But I knew I needed to do that change to feel more confident. What was it that kind of changed with you?
I think for me, it was like, I'd been working like in the corporate world for like, since I was like, I want to say 17, 18 or something like that. So I did 10 years working in, for a big corporate business. And the truth is, I found it very difficult to get the balance right between something that, I'm sure people that work in the corporate world will understand that, you know, it's all numbers and shouting and, you know, ego and dick swinging. Maybe that's not the right word, but, you know, it's like, you know, it's just people constantly going. And I found it very difficult to then walk out of work and then go like, right, it's time to turn on the creativity now. And, you know, and I ended up burning myself out doing it, is the truth. So I was going to work doing like, however many hours a week it is. And then, I'd kind of come home from work because I was still living in Derby at the time, and I was living on my own. I'd then go in, have some food, and then I'd be working because I was like, I need to find a way to get out of this. You know what I mean? Like I'd already had some sort of successful releases that I was really proud of and that kind of got the ball and momentum rolling. But I felt like, right, I need to keep it going. I need to keep writing. So I was burning myself out because I'd be writing from 6 p.m. till 2 a.m. and then getting up at 4 or 5. You know, but the truth is, right, anybody that worked with me knew that I was late most days, and the reason for that was because I was living on like 3-4 hours sleep, and it's just not sustainable. Like you end up being really unhealthy, and the weekends come and you feel dead, like absolutely dead. But if you were playing or, you know, coming here or wherever, you know, I felt like a shell of a sort of person. So it was like a real sort of spiral effect, really, of like, you'd go and you'd play, and then that's it, you'd have a few too many drinks, and then before you know it, you were back at work on Monday morning, and you were going, fuck it, it's like a repeating thing. It was like, you know, every day was the same, and I was like, right, I think in order to sort of focus my energy on the thing that I'm most passionate about, that I love and that I want to do for the rest of my life, there had to be a point where it was like, right, enough now, like it's time to focus on this full time, because if I don't do it, I'll end up regretting it for the rest of my life, you know. It's one of those. So how have you found the balance between sort of like working, producing, doing a podcast as well?
Oh, God, it is a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. I think when I lived in Liverpool, I was driving, especially during rush hour. It wasn't a rush hour, it was a rush hour and a half. So an hour and a half to work, an hour and a half back. But I'm working from like 9 till 5:30, and then it's an hour and a half home. Sorry, I'm not doing the structure very well. What I'm trying to say is, I would get up at 6, I would get ready, I would drive to work, an hour and a half. I would be at work for 9 o'clock till 5:30, and then I would drive home, an hour and a half if I was lucky, depending on whether or not there'd been a crash. And then I would get home, and I like to decompress by cooking. Like, I really enjoy cooking. I love eating. I just love all food. My mouth's watering just thinking about it.
I love that though. I love that.
Yeah. So I would like decompress, but I'd be so tired from the day, because I'm the sort of person where if I'm doing something, I can't do it by halves. So like, even though I want to do music and that's my North Star, if you like, my day job, like, I don't feel as I can do that in like halves. Like, I still have to give 100%, and then I'd come home, decompress, cook, and then by that time it's 8:30, and then it's like, okay, if I get myself in a loop, I know I'm going to be focused for at least 3 hours, but then it's 3 hours, and then I've got to shower, and then I've got to brush my teeth, and then I've got to get in bed, but then I'm up at 6. So hence why I moved to Manchester, because now it's only half an hour to walk to work. And so it's not too bad. So I'm finding the balance better, but now that there's more to explore, and obviously I'm spending time doing my podcast, it's like I'm discovering a new city. I've got the podcast. I'm settling into my new role at work. I don't want to give myself too many excuses, because I feel like as soon as you start giving yourself excuses, it's not good.
Yeah, game over.
Yeah, it is game over. But I'm finding balancing it easier. But whilst I've got the podcast and I'm filming for the podcast, it's more difficult. But because I know it's going to be a lot more work doing the podcast, I have to give myself grace to be like, okay, you're filming the whole of this month, so then next month you can start again. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think the thing is, it's like, I think as creative people, we're probably we overthink. Well, I can't speak for everybody, but you know,
no,
we're serial overthinkers,
100%.
like serial overthinkers. So it's like, while you're doing that, you're not doing this. You know, while you're spending 6 hours trying to pick the right snare out, you're not focusing that 6 hours on social media, or you're not working on, you know, working a record, or, you know, promo running, demo running, you know, going out, networking, meeting the right people or whatever. So there's always something to give yourself a hard time over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I feel your pain on that one.
Yeah, especially with the networking, like now that I'm in a new city, and this podcast is supposed to be about you, but I'm just trying to get the storyline here.
Offload, man. Get it on.
I feel like being in a new city, you definitely do have to network. Like, you almost can't rely on the connections that you've made in another city to carry you through. And like, because I haven't been as busy in this city yet, let's use the yet word, I haven't been as busy in the city yet. I found, like, I'm in this female group chat, and whenever girls have gigs, they always put it in the chat and they'll say, I've got this many guest lists, who would like to come? But because I've been like a little bit more relaxed, almost, because I've been doing the podcast, I've been spending more time doing like family stuff.
Yeah.
So then when those opportunities do come up, and it's usually last minute, I'm like, shit, I now feel the guilt of like, oh, I wish I could cancel this family thing to go do that. I don't know if that's relatable at all, but that's happening to me a lot at the minute.
I think it's hard though, like for me, like like I'm a Derby boy. Like I moved up here 3 years ago when I gave up my job.
Yeah.
So it's like
YOLO.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was like the same day that I left my job. I moved up to Manchester, so I was in the back of a van, like just stacking all the studio equipment, which was fun. But I know exactly what you mean. So I think you come to a new city anyway, you're going to meet some, like, I think Manchester's full of some of the most incredible people that you'll meet. You know what I mean? And but sometimes it's trying to get the balance right of being able to go, okay, like it's, you know, you go out, you enjoy yourself, but you know, going and meeting new people, but still being able to be productive. You know what I mean as well. Where I kind of probably for the first 12 months of being in Manchester was just like, it's all about studio. Like everything's about like curate or crafting this sound, like where you realize that, you know, that's great and you walk away with 100 new records or something like that. But I think sometimes it's just about being able to get the balance right, being able to actually go out in the world, you know what I mean, as well, and enjoy yourself. And so I hear what you're saying. Absolutely.
So we've obviously touched on you signing to labels. You've got your own label, which is something that I only found out today. Bad research from me. But anyway, you've got your own label. For people that don't know, what is it called and what was the inspiration behind you wanting to start a label?
So the label's called Gibberish. I started it in 2023. To be honest, it was kind of a bit of a multifaceted one, really. Like I found that like sonically, the industry was either like very housey, or very techno-y, and there was no real. I saw kind of a bit of a gap in the market, really, and I felt that my sound worked on a lot of labels, but at the same time there was the more experimental bits that I wanted to try. I wanted a bit of an outlet to be able to release that music, and truth was, like, I sent like Jamie and Patrick and a lot of those guys a lot of demos, but the reality is they can't sign everything. You know, there's some things that are, you know, that just don't align, and a lot of my early Hot Creation stuff, you might listen to it and go, yeah, like I wouldn't have put that on Hot Creations or something like that, but I was ready just for that next chapter, really, and I felt that the time was kind of right of going, right, I've got all of this music that I love so much and that's a little bit different, which kind of tied in with the title of it, and the sort of record that came out was a little bit more of a tougher record, which was called Gibberish, and then it's just kind of rolled from there, really. We've been releasing music now for the last 3 years, which has been amazing. We've had like events in Manchester as well, which has been incredible, really, really great. So we're just going through a bit of exclusive. So going through a bit of a rebrand of it at the moment, which is exciting. And that should be coming out. I don't know when this podcast is coming out, but maybe I think it's about end of June, July-ish. And then hopefully going to be coming back with the events as well. Just, you know, took a little bit of time just to kind of go back and understand what we loved about it, you know, and, you know, looked at certain things that, you know, we felt that there was time for a bit of a revamp on certain aspects of it and the way that we do it. But exciting. It's been great. Loved it.
I feel like it's so nice when someone has their own brand, and it was something that I spoke to Gaia about, and it's this like DIY ethos of like, if you don't see a space for yourself, like make that space for yourself. And I think that's exactly what you've done, because I also feel like in the industry there's a lot of no's, and like you're gonna get a lot of no's, and like you said, they can't always say yes to every single track. And by you having your own brand and like being able to pick and choose like what you showcase as an artist, I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's great. Like, I remember seeing that clip of that you just saying on, you know, online of others saying that, and it absolutely right. You know, I think sometimes it's one of those in an industry we become so. I think as creative people, I can maybe only talk for myself in this. I write a lot of music, and I think being able to find an outlet to be able to kind of say. So last year, I've released on other labels, and I have done for a long time. But last year, I kind of made the decision. I was like, right, I'm just going to take control of my release schedule, because ultimately, when you're releasing with other labels, you're at the sort of behest of their release schedule and when the records can come out. So having sort of an imprint that gives you the flexibility to pump out the music that you want to in the time frame that you want to, you know, and being able to sort of conceptualize both visually, sonically, and all of that sort of great stuff. I think it's creative. Oh, I can only really speak for me on that one. I love that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And being able to so last year I was like, right, I'm taking back control of my release schedule, released more music than I ever had done before, which was great. And then sort of just took a little bit of time at the beginning of the year and go, right, okay, what's next? You know, like where are we going? And I think maybe for me, artistically, my sound's kind of starting to narrow a little bit, you know, and it's the evolution of you as an artist, I guess, and just making sure that, you know, that the music that I pump out is something that I really truly love, you know, and it's really like the truest reflection of where I'm at sonically. So yeah, having an imprint, a gibberish, to be able to pump out the music that I love as well, you know, I love that. So
yeah, it's so powerful. With your parties then, were you doing more like pop-ups, or what sort of events were they?
So they were like limited capacity, big sound system, basement club. So we've done I think 3 or 4 now at Stage Radio in Manchester, which is like a small, like less than 200 cap party, and we've had some killers in there, like some really unreal nights. Like I think it's such an underrated venue in Manchester as well. It just gives you those like, yeah, it's like the wet assy feels, but like intimate, man, like, you know, like low ceilings. But obviously, because I've seen Sankey's reopen it, like for me, the sort of LED lights on the roof reminded me of like going to Sankey's in Ibiza. I never went to the one in Manchester pre it, you know, opening up again, but you know, big sound system, big energy, and yeah, the parties were unreal, man. Like really, really great, and yeah, looking forward to doing them again.
That's exciting. I feel like those smaller venues, well, I say smaller venues, it's actually quite a big venue because it's like a few stories, isn't it? Like
it is, yeah. We only used the basement, to be fair, which is it was killer down there.
Yeah. I feel like the vibe that those sorts of spaces give are like the real grassroots vibe, like so it's nice that you're doing that.
Yeah, definitely, man. Like I was there last weekend with Jamie Fielding was playing.
Amazing.
And, so we went down there and gaff was just ramo, like. But you know, when you talk about grassroots venues as well, like it's a bit of a scary time, you know, especially in cities like Manchester. You know, it's got such a sort of a well-known history with music, especially dance music. You know, and I think at the moment, as a country, you know, we are at risk of losing a lot of these grassroots venues. Like I know that they were having a bit of an issue with licenses, because all of a sudden it's on the edge of Northern Quarter, and as you go into Ancoats, and all of a sudden these blocks of flats have been shot up from car parks, and then all of a sudden, you know, they're kind of getting the knock on the door saying, well, your license until 4 or 5 o'clock is going to be a problem because it's going to be residential, and you're like, what? Like, it's crazy, because they tried to do it in Liverpool as well, didn't they, at 24 Kitchen Street, which was just shocking, absolutely shocking. But it's a scary time. These developers, man, they just think this shit. But
it was the
it's a
same
different conversation, I guess. But
yeah, it's the same with Meraki. Have you been to Meraki?
Never been, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was similar, because there's all the like what are they called? Like massive storage old buildings that were there, like the industrial buildings.
Big warehouses,
Yeah, warehouses. And they were going to get changed into more like residential spaces, if you like. And I think across from where Meraki is. And oh my God, there was just absolute uproar, as there should be. Because I feel like, as well, grassroots venues, a lot of, like, I'm sure you'll have played in grassroots venues.
Absolutely, yeah.
As you're developing as an artist. And it doesn't give a space for people to almost explore new sounds and, like you said, explore music as a whole. So well, I
think that the difference is, like, when I first started going out, like being in Derby, like there wasn't too much club wise. Like I was a resident at a party called Bunker, which was amazing. You know, we did them once a month, but predominantly, like me and my mates, we spent a lot of time in Stealth, right, in Nottingham, where you had it's like a 300 something cap venue. Where you have, you know, it was on the tour circuit. So, you know, you had guys like Eats Everything, Patrick Toppin, Dennis Salter, and loads of big names. And obviously stuff was still, you know, they've rebranded, and it's always been an unreal venue. Like the sound system's always been great. I've had some of the best nights of my life in that club.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is now there's a lot of the ecosystem of music in general is based on these grassroots, venues being that allowed a lot of these artists to kind of break through and whatever. But the problem is now that because a lot of these venues are shut that are like 150, 200 to 250, the jump then is to like venues that are like 500, 600, 700. And when you talk about like ticket selling and stuff like that, the difference between, an artist that can fill maybe even a 700 capacity venue versus 150 or something like that. You cut out an entire ecosystem of DJs, and you know, a lot of the guys that are huge now, they've all come through these venues. You know what I mean? So it's a bit of a worrying time for grassroots venues. You know, I've seen a lot of stuff from sort of Save Our Scene, and when we went down on the march to do with COVID and sort of followed them since then, and you know, they bring a great light into, you know, really what's happening in, you know, the nighttime sort of industry and whatever, which is it's a bit concerning. But yeah, but places like Stage and Radio, they're really sort of flying the flag for you know, those grassroots venues, which is great. You know, they've got a great team there as well. So
are you going to do parties back there, do you think, or are you looking at other venues, or is it
to be confirmed?
Oh,
you know,
okay, I like that.
All sort of come
in the works.
There's things that are in the works at the minute that I can't really talk about, but
that's okay.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm really excited for it. Really excited to sort of bring the events back, because Manchester, man, like, you moved here for a reason. I definitely moved here for a reason as well. You know, like, it's one of the best cities, like, I think, in the country. So like, yeah, everybody comes to party and have a good time, and love it, man.
I agree. I kind of just want to go back to the label side.
Yeah.
So let's say I was a producer and I want to start my own label. What is like the first things that you do? Like
a checklist. You know what? Like, I'm really lucky that like for with my label, I partner with the guys from my publishing. They do a lot of really great work in the background on the back end for me, you know, that make my life a lot easier. But I think as sort of a checklist anyway, you know, you've got to be thinking about, like, maybe sonics, you know, where do you sit, you know, what sort of style, what genre are you in, you know, your position within the industry, you know, what are the labels that you like or artists that you like. I think it's one of those, if you're kind of an artist-led label, then 9 times out of 10, wherever you are at as an artist, the label's probably going to be not too far aligned, which is great. But I think, the DIY approach is great, like, really, really great. I think that's a great way of sort of taking control back of your release schedule and saying, right, okay, I really back these 6 records. I'm going to do 3 2-track EPs, or I'm going to do, you know, however many singles, and sort of run it that way. But there's a lot of incredible information out online, you know, to be able to assist you in that as well. But yeah, I think for me, it was more a case of kind of looking at, you know, the sonics of with this sort of refresh anyway, making sure that the sort of sonics match the sort of visual identity of the brand, and, you know, and all of that sort of you know, stuff. So, yeah.
Talking on, like, visual identity then, and I said this off camera, but basically when I was trying to do a little bit of research more into, like, what questions I could ask you, I'd obviously seen you'd restarted your socials. Why have you kind of done that? Is that to align with your brand, or what were your thoughts?
Oh God. So yeah, you know what? Like, I think I've posted something ridiculous. Well, it's probably not ridiculous, really, in the grand scheme of things, of maybe like 600 posts or something like that in the X amount of time that I've had that sort of Instagram. And I felt it was just a bit like there was things on there that don't get me wrong. There's a lot of very proud moments, you know, signing these records, these great DJ supports and things like that. I felt like it was just time to sort of have a bit of a refresh and go, right, okay, you know, everything else doesn't matter now. You know, it's about what I'm doing now, and, you know, what the exciting things that I've got sort of lined up. I'm probably the most excited I've ever been with the music I'm sat on. I feel like it's the truest reflection of where I'm at artistically, but also I feel like putting more of a sort of thing now of looking at sort of the branding side of things, and that's the truth of it, making sure that kind of building this sort of like world around the music, you know, and, you know, how I want things to be perceived, and not knocking anything that I've ever posted before, but I feel like I'm very clear directionally now where I'm going, what I want, and, you know, how I want things to look, and just moving forward like that, really.
So would you like suggest that for other people? Because I know I don't know actually if I went into depth about this, but like, I went last year, I had a little bit of a wobble about whether I should be doing this or whether I wanted to, like, rebrand. I've got a bit of a weird middle name. Well, it's not weird middle name. My middle name is Betty Jane, and I didn't know whether I wanted to rebrand as, like, Betty Jane or whether I just keep it as Bex Vernon.
Yeah.
And I guess what I'm trying to ask is like, what was it, apart from it being like a new year, what was it that kind of made you want to do that switch for other people that might be thinking about it?
That's a good question, man. I think for me, sonically, the music, like I was saying earlier, like I've always been very eclectic. Like I've liked a lot of different sounds, and I think ultimately in a lot of the music that I've pumped out over the years, you can hear me. Well, I think you can, and other people have told me so that you can hear me within them. So I think sonically that's made, you know, a lot of the music, because for a long time I've always, and I still do it now, it's about experimentation, you know, and trying pushing the envelope and really trying to push the sound forward of, you know, I'm influenced by this and that and whatever. I want to be the melting pot and I want to push this new, you know, sound forward. But I think for me, like trying to get everything to align and saying, right, okay, you know, for the next 12 months, I'm going to be releasing, you know, a little bit tighter. Like I'm back in the tech house world. Like I never left the tech house world, but I think maybe for me, it was one of those of just being able to say, right, I think sonically everything makes sense. Like for probably the first time I'm at the moment, I'm sat on something like 60 completed records that makes sense, which is like
that's
crazy.
Insane.
Yeah, but that's probably from like September. But there's obviously a lot that didn't make the cut, but like I write a lot of music, like but I think having a very clear direction of where, you know, the sonics are, and then also making sure that the visuals sort of match it. But I think, like, to sort of circle back around to what you were saying about, you know, other people and their rebranding, it's entirely up to you, man. Like, it's about you, it's your art, it's how you want things to be seen. So, you know, what's right for me might not be right for somebody else, or you know, I feel like in your heart of hearts, you know what to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know what you want to do, and you know you just got to do it, man.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I can definitely tell from like your Instagram, there's definitely like a theme. Like it is very like black and white, and I love the bold text, and even just that, like it does give you a visual brand as an artist. Whether or not people have listened to your music or not, they can see that it's going to be quite like, I want to say like gritty in a way, and like industrial in some elements as well. Yeah. And you can kind of get that from your Instagram. So I think you're doing a good job.
I'll take that one. Take that one.
Something that I like to speak to people about is like managers, agents. And I know we said that you don't have an agent or a manager.
Yeah.
What is that process like for you now?
I think it's one of those. I think the point that I'm at, like I've worked with agents before, and I've had sort of managers that have been my friends, really, you know what I mean? And it's been great, but sort of brought everything back in-house for a while. It's great, but at the same time, I feel like there is a power in building and curating this group of people that are all working for one common goal, and one, you know, you're all working in the same direction. Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of where I'm at right now. I feel like, although I'm doing this full time, I feel like there's certain things that it's time to sort of look elsewhere, you know, and see, get the expertise from the right, and start curating this, you know, like Avengers style team of you know, the right agents and managers and things like that. Because look, you know, you can see, you know, I feel like a lot of these artists that are really succeeding, you know, they're getting themselves to running at like 60 miles an hour. And I feel like when you start getting the right team around you, and you start all working in the same direction, you know, everything can kind of start, you know, multiplying, and you're growing your message, if that makes sense, and you're being able to pump it out a little bit more. Now, like I've sort of self-managed myself for a while, and that's been great because you have total control, and you don't sort of fall, what's the word? You don't sort of suffer fools lightly. You know what I mean? You know, you don't sort of take everybody at face value or whatever. You know, you learn so much more about the industry, which means, you know, nobody can ever pull the wool over your eyes or, you know, anything like that. Because I think in the industry, you know, you get a lot of promises and things like that. So you kind of learn, you know, as you go along the way. But yeah, look, like, I think it's probably where I'm at right now is I'm probably, because I feel like I'm at like max capacity, like with what I'm able to do. Like I'm writing so much all the time, and you're working on this and that and the other, all these other little side quest projects that are obviously accumulating into your sort of artist project. That's probably where I'm at right now, of just kind of going, it's time for some help now, you know. I need some help with especially the booking side of things. So yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to go into my roundup questions. I ask everyone, I ask all my guests the same 3 questions. And the first question is, what is one hard truth about the dance music industry that someone might not know?
Oh, gosh. One hard truth. Golly.
I know.
God, that's a deep one.
I know. Take your time.
Deep one, innit? One hard truth. That talent will only get you so far. You know, you've got to work really, really hard. You know what I mean? You can be the most... I've met people that have been, you know, that are really talented musically or really talented DJs. But you've got to work hard at this, you know what I mean, to really cut through the noise, because you've got a lot of, you know, there's a lot of people, we're all trying to do the same thing ultimately, you know, we're all fighting for the same attention, so you've got to, you've got to work hard, man. I know it's, maybe it's not a hard truth, and it's probably one that people hear about a lot, but honestly, it's the truth, man. You've really got to work hard, and you've got to give it you all, so yeah.
I do believe that there is space at the top for everyone.
I agree with that, yeah.
But I just think some people want it more.
Yeah.
And it's that, like, continuation of, like, don't give up. It's just a bad day. Like, I definitely battle every single day where I'm like, should I be doing this? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing this? Yeah. But it is literally who wants it the most.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like if you want something hard enough, then you work at it. I feel like, you know, that, like, my biggest thing is I don't want to be lying. I know this is taking a bit of a morbid turn.
No, but go for it.
You don't want to be lying there on your deathbed going, fucking hell, like I had a bit of a chance and I wasn't able to do it. So it's like, you know, you've got to go at it, man. You've got to chase your dreams. You've got to go after it. I know it's all like, but you have, man, because you'll just regret it for the rest of your life otherwise.
Yeah, that's what I say to my mum and dad, you know. Yeah. Like, whenever they're like, are you sure you still want to do this? Like, you know, I always say I don't want to get to a certain age and think, fuck, why did I not just try? And I think definitely for me, like, I think the idea of failure is so scary, and I know you're going to fail and learn along the way. But it's just like, I think, like you said, it's that regret. You don't want to have the regret to think, I had all this talent and I had all of this at my fingertips, but I just didn't persevere. Like, you could be one more no away from that, yes.
That's what I mean, innit? You just don't know, man. You really don't know. So it's one of those, it's like you just got to keep buying those lottery tickets.
Yeah.
You know, keep turning off, and, you know, you might hit the jackpot, you know, or you might win on, you know, 100, $1 million instead of 100 million, but you'll be happy with $1 million.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good hard truth.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. And this is more like for you.
Okay.
What advice would you give to yourself 5 years ago? So not to anyone else, just yourself.
Totally ignore social media. Like, totally ignore it. As in, what's going on in the industry today? Like, I think as creative people, we can very easily get swayed. You know what I mean? With what's happening. I feel like, you know, for me anyway, like, every time you open up social media, that's it. It's, for me, it's predominantly, my timeline is just full of what's happening in the industry, who's playing what and where, who's having releases and doing what and doing that. It's just, you know, to kind of maybe keep it to one side. You have to, in this game, to be able to promote yourself. It's like the best free promotion tool that you're ever going to get in your life. But at the same time, it's probably not to read too much into it. You know what I mean? It's a highlight reel of what everybody's got going on in their world. But yeah, it's just to kind of like stick at, if you have a vision or you have an idea of what it is and the direction you want to go at, you know, write the plan, do the thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just follow that. And then, you know, you can make sort of subtle variations on that, you know, to that plan, you know, rather than doing everything based off, you know, what's happening, you know, in the industry.
That's good advice. And then this one's just more of a general one. So what advice would you give to someone who's wanting to be in your position?
I don't know, man. Just like, understand who you are, like, as an artist, right? I know it might sound a bit airy-fairy, arty, right? But I feel like the problem in music, or the problem in what I think is in dance music at the minute, is that everybody's trying to say the same thing, as in, like, people are creating the same type of music. I think as the artist, when you know who you are, you know what you have to say, like what you're about sonically, you know, and what your sound is, and it's undoubtedly you. Like there is already a Chris Dussey, a Josh Baker, a Patrick Toppin, and them guys are doing their thing. But you know, understand who you are and what your influences are, and become the melting pot of it, because there can only be one of you, you know, and your influence, you are the accumulation of all your influences. So yeah, I'd probably say something like that.
That's good. That's a really nice one. Okay, fab. We're into quick fire.
Okay. Pressure.
Answer these as quickly as you can. But if you want to do a little bit of like explanation, you can. But
okay, all right.
Just try things
it's like countdown, isn't
yeah,
it?
it honestly is. Okay, right, you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Favorite track that you're rinsing right now?
Dusky, Lord of the Ring Road.
Nice.
Tune. Big tune.
One DJ you'd love to go back to back with?
Dennis Salter. Eats Everything. Oh, that's 1, 2. Yeah, Dennis Salter.
That's okay.
Dennis
back
Salter.
3 back
Yeah.
is fine. Dennis Salter is like the goat.
Oh, the man. He is the man.
Yeah, he's so cool.
Yeah.
Best crowd you've ever played for?
I don't know. I always love playing anywhere up north. Like I always feel like the vibes are so much better. Like
Yeah.
I used to play a lot in Liverpool.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone's so friendly. Like the energy is always good from the minute you walk in. So yeah, I'd probably say. Well, I live in Manchester, so actually Manchester's the best vibe.
Yeah.
Manchester, the gibberish events are the best parties to go to.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, that's it.
Favorite closing track?
Ooh, We Become Heroes by The Streets. Tune.
Nice.
I heard Seth Troxler play it. Went to go see him years ago. Play at the Forge warehouse. Oh, was it Forge? Or it was above a. It was in a car park above something, and he'd come from playing at Printworks back to back with the Martinez brothers, and he closed on that tune, and I can just remember going, "Whoa, like this is unreal! What tune!" Oh,
I love that. Dream festival to play?
I'm gonna say Creamfields. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, I went there when I was like, I want to say 18. It was my first festival.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been going back like since, and it's just been unreal. So yeah, I love that festival. So
I love that. What is an up and coming DJ that people might be sleeping on?
I'd say maybe like Chris Galassi. He is like production wise, like unreal. He's kind of in that kind of Aussie government sort of world, and man, like some of the tunes are just like unreal. Like he does a lot like on using Euro Rack as well. So any of the Modular brothers out there will get like, what a guy! Like,
Yeah.
what a guy. Honestly, if you're making anything other than bleep noises on that, it's unreal. But yeah, probably someone like Chris Galassi. I think I pronounced that right. Sorry, Chris.
I'll put it on the screen just in case. After party or straight to bed?
I was always an after partier, but now I'm a little bit more behaved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight to bed.
Pre's over afters though. Absolutely pre's over afters.
I hear that, honestly.
What about you?
Do you know, I got asked this the other day, and I said, it just really depends on the situation. If I'm with like a group of pals and like we're all having a laugh and like we're all a bit loose, then I will go to the afters.
Yeah.
But if I'm like on my own, or like maybe I've got something on the next day, I just don't want to risk it because I need to have the energy. I feel like that's my brand. Do you know what I mean? I need to be like, ah! And if I go, ah, the afters, then I'll be like that the next day.
Like, yeah, I think the thing is with afters, they always seem like a great idea at the time, and then before you know it, it's like 24 hours later, and you're like, like, what am I doing? But yeah, I'm more of a behaved, go to bed now. I got tunes to write. Like, you know.
And then final question is, if you weren't in music, what would you be doing?
Definitely not in. Well, I don't know actually, man. Like, I like to think I'd probably be building something. You know what I mean? Like whether it's a business or something like that. Because I like the idea of building. You know what I mean? Like, having a plan and doing it. I don't know. Maybe I'd make all the dough in crypto. You know what I mean?
You could do.
Could be a crypto bro.
Yeah, you can.
You know what I mean? They all have McLarens, so obviously they're doing something right.
I know.
You know what I mean? But I don't know. Maybe I don't know something in
building.
Yeah, I don't know. Building a business, I think, or something like that. I don't know what it would be.
I was gonna say like a pro Lego maker, but
you never know.
Yeah,
You never know.
I do love Lego, to be fair. It's so satisfying.
Do you do that?
If someone's got a Lego set out and it's brand new and I can follow the instructions, then they're not getting it back until I finished it.
Is that why you don't get invited to the after
Yeah, that could be
like
it.
unpicking people's Millennium Falcon and
Oh
trying to
my
put them back
God,
together.
that would not be the one. Well, thank you.
Wicked.
Thank you for sitting with us whilst we chat away. This has been What's Cooking with Bex Vernon and Josh Hvaal.